Ladies and gentlemen, we have a hell of a fight night, and I had to get on here because we're going to Mexico City. Brandon Moreno against Steve Erceg, also known as Steve Carell, for the main event. And it's going to be a hell of a week. And I have to say, every time we're in Mexico or anytime these fights are in elevation, so we're about 7,000 feet above sea level here, we get finishes. And coming off a card like last week where we were in London, I think we're due. 13 fights, I think there was 3 finishes and 10 decisions. So I think it's going to be a good one. I'm going to be speaking about the elevation. I'm going to be breaking down fights, but I think there's a lot of gaps for bets. There's some underdog potential, but I think this week's pretty straightforward. And if you're new here, I appreciate you watching this video. I'm sorry, didn't get the comb over ready. I didn't trim the beard, but I wanted to get on here and I wanted to give you my predictions and breakdowns because it is Thursday night and it's pretty late already. All right. So if you're new here, be sure to subscribe. For those of you who want my exclusive picks, guys, I do that on Instagram. We're about 90,000 followers deep, 88 to be exact. And I have a subscription service, $4.99 a month, and you get all my bets. And why would you pay for this random bald dude's bets on Instagram? Well, guys, it's because for the year, we are up over 60 units. Over 60 units. So if you're in $1,000 better, which I know it's a lot, right? You'd be up over $60,000. And let me be a little more specific. I have to owe a parlay. I did a long shot parlay 2 weeks ago. Look at this bad boy, plus 8,771. I did a similar one last week. I hit 2 out of 3 for a plus 8,000 again. Guys, I'm not telling you we're going to hit these long shots all the time. I'm not telling you this, that, the other, but I know UFC. I'm pretty good at predicting fights and I'm pretty good at picking the right spots for betting. So if you're a sports bettor or you just want to see what I'm doing, it's $4.99. You could literally do $1 bets and you could pay for your subscription. You know? So anyway, let's get to it, guys. We have a hell of a fight card. I don't want to waste too much time. Austin Hubbard versus Markel Mederos. I think this fight is very straightforward. Like I said, there's going to be a few of those. I'm leaning towards Markel Mederos. I think he's the more technical striker. I think he's going to be pushing the pace. I think he's just sharper than Austin Hubbard. Am I putting money on this fight? The answer is no. Why? Because I am fearful that Austin Hubbard maybe cleans up his striking a little and he's very aggressive with his wrestling. Maybe there's a lot of control time. Maybe he could get Mederos down early. Maybe he could get him down every round. Maybe he could find 2-3 minutes of control time, clinch time, and that's the way he could win this fight. I don't see him finding a finish. I think we do go the distance in this fight. I think Mederos just has the volume. I think he's going to overwhelm Austin Hubbard. Austin Hubbard can't find himself just freezing up with Mederos' good footwork, and I think he needs to just push forward, don't get controlled, go for takedowns, look for controlled time. And that's the way to look for this fight. Austin Hubbard needs to grapple. I think he's very good, but I think Mederos is going to take this one. Like I said, I don't see myself putting money on this, maybe some prop bets. And guys, don't think I'm out here texting. I am opening my Hard Rock app on my phone because I like to see what the odds are right now. And I like to tell you what's a good idea, what's not. And why pay for my subscription service rather than, just watching my video and getting. I don't tell you exactly what I'm betting. I tell you where I think there's potential and spots. I'm not just going to bet everything I say on this video, but I do think there's potential in certain ways. So Mederos minus 175 right now. Hubbard is a plus 135. If you really like Hubbard there, go for it. Fight to go the distance, yes, is minus 275. Maybe you parlay that, but I'm not too confident in that either. Over 2.5 rounds is minus 325. Yeah, I think I'm staying away from this fight, guys. Hubbard by decision plus 225, Mederos by decision plus 110. Maybe you want to whack at Mederos by decision, but again, I'm staying away. Either way, let's move forward. Jamal Emmers, Gabriel Miranda. Guys, this is extremely straightforward. Miranda, a lot of experience, and a guy who's constantly submitting people, coming off a bit of a layoff, and he's fighting Jamal Emmers. Jamal Emmers is coming in here to knock this dude out. And now we go back to the whole elevation talk, and you're going to hear every handicapper, every analyst, you're going to hear John Anik, everybody talk about it. And the reason everybody mentions it is because it's a huge factor in mixed martial arts. We see these guys constantly gas out on normal days. When they go to elevation and they're not used to it, your body's not accustomed to it. And there's, scientific things we could get into about your red blood cells and the production. And if you train at that level or if you're used to living at elevation, how your body responds differently, right? Literally more oxygen going around your body through red blood cells and stuff. Long conversation for you guys. However, that wasn't an insult, by the way. Just not a lot of people are in the medical field. However, it's makes a huge difference in the fight game, especially with the heavier guys, especially with the guys who already don't have good cardio. So in this fight, I think we see two different possibilities. Jamal Emmers sleeping Miranda in round number one, or if we get through round number one where Emmers starts maybe not looking as powerful, Gabriel Miranda has a brand new game plan. And if he gets down Jamal Emmers, which I'm not saying Miranda's this great wrestler who's going to take him down, but if we find ourselves on the grounds for any means, I think it is so live for Miranda to find a submission against Jamal Emmers. I don't think we've really seen him tested. Both of these guys are coming off a loss. I think this fight is not what the odds indicate, right? So right now we have Emmers minus 425. I'm not a huge fan. I think if you're going Emmers, you need to go within the distance. Fight to go the distance, no, is minus 220. Fight to go the distance is a plus 165. I don't like that one too much. Very possible, though. Emmers by knockout plus 120. Maybe that's what you want to dabble. And then Miranda by sub plus 600. I don't think that's bad. I say maybe sprinkle half a unit on that puppy. Ultimately, I am going Gabriel Miranda. So I'm kind of telling you, I might go for that plus 600 or maybe the decision, because I do think that if Gabriel Miranda's cardio keeps up, if he's able to close the distance, clinch, and somehow get Emmers on the ground, I think it's a long day for Emmers. But then again, if he gets him on the ground, I think he subs him. I don't think we're gonna stay. We're gonna see 7-8 minutes of control time and nothing happen to Emmers. I just think he'll get him out of there. But this is also a fight I may stay away from. But I'm just telling you, some value in the finishes there on each side. But money line Emmers minus 4. I wouldn't throw this guy in a parlay, guys. That's just me. Rafa Garcia, Vince Pichel, guys. Vince from Hell Pichel, Rafa Garcia. I've been on the fence about this for as soon as I saw the fight. I don't think Rafa Garcia is that good. I think he is looking for volume, maybe. I think potentially he's a more technical fighter than Vince Pichel. I've never been on Vince Pichel, but what I will tell you with both of these guys, Vince Pichel could go all 3 rounds here, right? Rafa, I think, is going to come with some. I don't think he's knocking anybody out. So I think he's going to come with volume, and he needs to control the pace of this fight. But if he starts going for those takedowns, which very possible, Vince Pichel's really good at stopping that. And then I think it just completely reverses. I think we see like a very steady Rafa Garcia for round number 1, takedown. Pichel might stop it. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe there's a finish. But once we get out of round 1, I'm leaning towards Vince Pichel to just dominate round 2 and 3, because I think he stops the takedowns there, and then he comes out with the volume, and I think he has the cardio to really stay consistent with that. So what I'm telling you is Rafa Garcia might look really good in round number 1, and what I'm saying is maybe this fight is more of a live odds type of fight. I'm not impressed by either of these guys, but I would say is that Vince is more durable than Rafa Garcia, and Rafa Garcia is not sleeping anybody. Rafa Garcia is not finishing anybody, in my opinion. I think this is a rough way to go. Vince is 42. I mean, this is a mess all over, right? Maybe we get a really fun fight. Sometimes these fights that we think are going to be garbage are kind of good, but I am going Vince money line, and I'm going to tell you why. With everything being said, something that I think is a toss-up, and this is a good segue into that conversation I wanted to have in the video I wanted to make, value. Rafa Garcia, I think, should be like a minus 200. And I think that Pichel should be like a plus 1 something. But instead, we have Vince at plus 350 and Garcia at minus 500. I think a minus 500 line for Rafa Garcia is absolutely insane. And this is kind of why we have the year of the dog. This is why we have a minus 1,200 favorite losing earlier this year. This is why our dogs are hitting. That's why I hit a plus 350 underdog last week. It's because these lines are insane. And when we have a fight that I believe is not 50-50, but 55-45, and I think it's going to be a pretty close battle, and I'm not sure who to go. If one of the guys is plus 350, plus 400, I have to sprinkle something. So I put a whole unit on Vince. Straight up, you're getting one of my bets. I put a whole unit on him because I think he has a very good possibility of winning this fight and winning it in decision. Now, other factors. Last week, we saw London, the UK screwed their fighters. I mean, Padilla could have easily not won that fight. Tybura could have easily not won that fight. I had both of those guys winning, but I understood that they were over there in the UK. If the judges went the other way, I got it. Those were really close fights. But they kind of screwed over their guys because in both of those fights, there was good arguments. Herbert could have won that fight and Parkins could have won that fight. So I don't know what happened over there. I love it because I hate corruption in the UFC, but I'm more inclined to think that these things might happen in Mexico where maybe we see a nod where it should go the other way. So if this goes the distance, it has to be a clear win for Vince. If Rafa Garcia has big moments, good striking, some control, I think they give it to him. But that's my take here. I am going Vince. He is going to be my pick. I'm just going to commit to it. But like I always say, guys, I hunt value. If there's a money line, there's a guy I think's going to win and he's minus 600, I'm not betting that. It just doesn't make sense. And that's something you need to understand. Even a guy who's minus 300 sometimes, I'm not confident enough on him to throw him anywhere. You know, I usually stay under the minus 300. And then if I see a dog like this who has potential, I throw money at it. It's that simple. Value. That's what I hunt. That's how we make money. And again, we're up over 60 units this year. Just saying. All right. Next up, Lupi Godinez versus Julia Polastri. Guys, you're going to hear everybody say, Lupi Godinez, so much time. I just sounded like Trump there. You're going to hear everybody say, the reality is Lupi Godinez is very good. She's very skilled. Something about her, she doesn't deliver when she needs to. I think that's just the reality. But here's the difference between her and Julia Polastri, because I like Polastri all around. Very good fighters, both of them. Lupi Godinez has fought better competition. She's coming off of back-to-back losses. I think this is a win or go home for her. This will like make her or break the rest of her career. She beats Julia Polastri. She gets another one after that, and she's like back in this, right? So what's going to happen this fight? I think Lupe Godinez cannot make this stupid decision like she did with Angela Hill. I'm just going to fight her. I'm better than her. No, use your head, bring in IQ, take down Julia Polastri, and be careful with the submissions because Julia Polastri is going to shoot some crazy submissions where she can. But the reality is Julia Polastri is not going to get up. If you take her down with 3 minutes left, she's going to park right there. She's going to throw 7 subs at you. And I think Lupe Godinez is good enough to stay away from that. But I think Julia Polastri is dangerous. I think there's more compatibility and danger striking when they're both striking. And I think Lupe Godinez needs to find a way to bring this fight to the ground. She does so. She wins by unanimous decision. Godinez minus 275, Polastri plus 200. If you think Godinez can't take her down, you think they're going to be striking, I say go Polastri at plus 200. I don't think that's a bad pick. Fight to go the distance, minus 500. Not worth it in my eyes, but it should go. Over 2.5 is minus 600. These are those things. Now, Godinez winning by decision minus 150, Polastri by decision plus 250. I think if you're going to do anything here, it's money line. I think it's money line. I really don't see a finish. If you, for whatever reason, see Polastri finishing Godinez plus 1750, maybe that's something to think about. But or by submission, it is plus 1400. That's something to think about. But honestly, I think I'm staying away from this fight. My official pick is Lupi, but I'm not putting money anywhere around here. Christian Rodriguez versus Melk Costa. Guys, Christian Rodriguez is the real deal. He's known as, the prospect killer. We've seen some great fights. And honestly, what worries me is how dialed in he looked at his interview today. He was out there saying, I'm going to get a finish. And he's not known for that. He's known for his cardio, pushing the pace. But to get a finish on Melk Costa, who's looked pretty freaking good, who made us a good amount of money a few weeks back, I don't know. So my pick is Melk Costa. I'm extremely worried. So this is another underdog I'm going with. He's plus 130. I think I got him for that same value. I just love how he keeps his range. I love how if he gets taken down, he's dangerous the whole time. So he's going to keep the guy second guessing. He's pretty easy to take down. So I think Christian Rodriguez could get him on the ground. But once Melk Costa starts throwing up subs, maybe Christian, becomes a little reluctant to keep the takedowns going. Now, striking wise, I think Costa's going to do a really good job, or does a really good job usually at keeping distance, using his kicks. I think that'll be good. But Christian Rodriguez is relentless. And if he's pushing forward, I can see him making Melk Costa very uncomfortable. And I think that pressure, I think that persistence might win him rounds. So that's why I'm so hesitant on this. But I just like Melk Costa right now. And it might be recency bias. It might be because he's won us money his last couple of fights. But I'd be very weary here. I think Christian Rodriguez by decision is really good. I don't see him finding a finish against Costa. And then I do like a Costa within the distance bet. So I did go Costa money line plus 130. I think that's valuable. Costa by decision plus 300, Costa by knockout plus 900, Costa by submission plus 650. Those are all things you could dabble. Rodriguez by decision plus 135. I think that's the safe route in this fight. But again, I'm going Costa. He's ultimately my pick. I'm giving you a lot of different avenues, guys. I don't want to sound vague. Like I said, my picks come out ultimately at the end and what I'm going to do. But I'm just telling you, the possibilities of where the fights could go. I don't see Christian finishing this fight. Next up, and I'm going to move a little quicker, guys. I know you guys usually like the main card predictions better. All right, Jose Daniel Medina versus Ateba. I'm not even going to say his last name because I butcher it every time. All right, here's my thing. First of all, UFC website, an absolute mess per usual. His record's not 1-0, it's like 6-1. Jose Medina should absolutely get finished in this fight. And we're walking into this fight, and Jose Medina's a plus 325. And Atiba is minus 475. Guys, you do not bet Atiba minus 475. You do not do that because that's how you lose money. And I'm not saying Jose Medina is going to win this fight, but I'm just saying I'm not big on these fresh up and comers fighting someone who's so freaking durable like Jose Medina. Go watch the Zachary Reese fight. That guy died like 6 times, came back to life, and was still performing. And again, we're going to bring it up again at elevation. If this behemoth of a man at 6'4" comes with all this muscle, looking for a finish, doesn't use his IQ, I could see a really long second and third round for him. So much so that Jose Medina takes this fight. If Jose Medina somehow takes him to the ground and can mount him, this is a real big problem. Or just be on top, side control, whatever. He's going to control this guy. So we think. We don't know enough about Atiba. That's the problem. So as to why I'm saying stay away from Atiba at -4, that minus 475. What I will say is winning method, Atiba by knockout is -140. That's risky. Jose Medina by decision is plus 700. That's something to think about. And I'm giving you some long shot shit right here that's very possible. Plus 700 for Jose Medina by decision. It might be worth the sprinkle. This guy's durable, guys. And I'm not saying he's going to go in there and take this guy's might. But I'm saying if he gets out of the first round, I think the live bet comes in, and I'm like, okay, I think Jose Medina might take the next 2 because we haven't seen Atiba's cardio. We haven't seen what he's capable in there. We haven't seen him really grapple. So I really like the idea of Jose Medina. I am going Atiba at the end of the day. I think he should get the finish. But Jose Medina, like I said, he's never seen somebody like Atiba. But if he gets through his power in the first round, man, we're gonna be stressed out. You're gonna be sweating. So do not go Atiba money line. That's just my idea. Let's see. Fight to go the distance. Yes, it's plus 160. I think it should be freaking plus more, but no is minus 210. Maybe that's the way to go. Total rounds under 1.5 is plus 120. Something to think about too. I think you're better off going under 1.5 than going Atiba by knockout because you're going to get better value. And I think it happens early if it happens. I don't think Atiba knocks him out in round 2 or 3, if that makes any sense. Moving forward, Edgar Chairez versus CJ Vergara. Guys, I used to be big on CJ. He has dog in him, but there's something missing. There's been a few fights actually that he comes back from behind and looks pretty good. But Edgar Chairez, I just think is better all around. My only concern is if Edgar Chairez doesn't take this fight to the ground, it's going to look a lot closer than it should. Right now, Edgar is minus 275. I think it's good. Maybe minus 220 is what I really set that line at. Vergara plus 200. I like this fight going to decision. And again, like I said, I'm more concerned about Edgar's IQ than anything. I think Edgar significantly better if he could bring in some takedowns, which he's not used to doing. He could do some damage on the ground. He could do some damage, do some work, get control time, maybe find the sub. But if he's just striking with CJ Vergara, this fight's going to look a lot closer. So Chairez by decision plus 160, something to think about. Vergara by decision plus 425. So this is really going to come down to Edgar's IQ. I might put some money in here. I'm thinking of a couple of props. I'm not going to say I'm here because if not, I'm taking away from my own subscription. But fight to go the distance, yes, is minus 115. That might be something I parlay. I think we are going the distance. No is also minus 115. If you think somebody finds a finish, that's the value is great there. I think that's fair. Under 2.5 plus 115. There's value here. There's props to be made in this fight. That's all I'm saying. And I'm gonna keep moving. Ronaldo, Lazy Boy, Rodriguez, Kevin Borjas. Guys, I like Kevin Borjas. I like strikers. I like boxers. I like crisp fundamentals. I like technique. This guy's fun to watch, and he has power for being this small. I like it. However, in this fight, I mean, this is a beautiful matchup to get Mexico going. Ronaldo Lazy Boy Rodriguez, if he comes in with a brain, he should smoke Kevin Borjas. People are saying this might be a close fight. I don't really think so. Maybe I'm not giving Borjas enough credit. I think Lazy Boy at minus 160 is nice. I think I might just have to go money line there, put a unit on money line, make a few bucks. I think Ronaldo Rodriguez is just way better. I think Kevin Borjas is very one-dimensional. I think he's going to be very technical. I think he's going to box, but I think Ronaldo needs to start using his legs. I think he needs to get some leg kicks going, make Kevin a little uncomfortable, and then he needs to take him down. If this fight goes to the ground, guys, Ronaldo Rodriguez is so live for a sub. So live for a sub. So him within the distance, that hasn't come out yet, at least on my app, but Ronaldo Rodriguez by sub plus 375, that has to be something everybody's thinking. I don't like Kevin Borjas at all in this fight. I've been giving the underdog some, hey, this might happen. The only thing I might say is Ronaldo tends to do stupid shit. Maybe he catches him, but fight to go the distance. No is plus 130. Man, that's kind of a steal. Total rounds over 2.5 minus 180. Under is plus 140. I don't know, guys. There's a lot to think about here. I think we do see a Ronaldo finish. I don't know. And I think we have seen Kevin fade in later rounds. So and Ronaldo, I believe, trains at elevation. I mean, this is so straightforward. I don't know. Maybe people know something I don't. And if I'm wrong about this, let me know. Let me know how stupid I am in the comments. But it's super straightforward. David Martinez, Seaman Oliveira. Guys, this fight is so fun. David Martinez minus 450. I think the value's a little crazy. Seaman Oliveira is plus 300. Guys, I'm all over David Martinez. I think he's nasty. I love watching this guy fight. The striking is impeccable. He wants to kill whoever's in front of him, and I love that about him. I wish he would let his hands go a little more. He's kind of like the sniper waiting for the right thing. He's very calculated. I think if he loosens up a little, it'll be better. However, I'm going to say refrain from doing that in this fight because Seaman Oliveira, if for whatever reason, finds himself on the ground with David Martinez. And now that I'm thinking about it, there's so many fights here that like it's contrasting styles. Like there's a lot of grapplers versus strikers here, and it shows. So it's all about where you side here. I don't think Seaman Oliveira is all that. I think he can be dangerous, but David Martinez should be able to take him out of there. I believe another bet I have, and I'm going to sneak this in, is David by knockout. I know that doesn't happen too often. He definitely goes to decision often, but he does have a few late knockouts. I think he could take out Seaman Oliveira. I'm not high on Seaman Oliveira at all. David's a little fresh, but I'm all about it. Minus 450 is just not the value. Fight to go the distance, yes, is plus 105. That is actually, you might want to double that. Plus 130 for David Martinez by knockout. Like I said, I like that. Man, Oliveira by anything is great money, actually. So if you're on the Oliveira side, go for it. But David Martinez should freaking kill this man, honestly. Next up, and now I'm going to move a little quicker. Raul Rosas Jr. versus Vince Morales. Guys, what a setup to get Vince Morales out of the UFC. The poor guy's coming off a few losses. He hasn't looked good. He fought recently, and they're putting him up against the young up-and-comer in Mexico City. I mean, this is the biggest setup there is. I love Raul Rosas Jr. I think he needs to be crisp. I think he needs to not get overzealous. I think he needs to not let the bright lights get in front of him. He's fought, Mexican Independence Day. He's done the whole thing. I think he's used to the lights at this point, the bright lights, that is. And I think this is so straightforward. I think he needs to be calculated. I think he can be wild. I think he shouldn't look for a finish. I think once Vince Morales gets to the ground, Raul Rosas Jr. just needs to be careful with the subs. He's going to shoot everything he can, and I think Raul Rosas Jr. should find the sub. I don't see him knocking him out. There's been improvements in his striking, but to me, he's not all that. I think it's all in the sub. I think Vince Morales is going to be overwhelmed. This is what I'm going to say. Raul still needs to come in calculated, and I think Vince needs to come out like a wild animal. I think if Vince pushes the pressure, he comes out crazy, finds a way to either get Raul Rosas down or catch him. I think he just needs to be looking for anything. If he gets taken down early, shoot every sub you can, throw things up, shoot for the moon, aim for the fences. That's how you're going to beat Raul Rosas Jr. right now. I don't see Vince besting him for 3 rounds. I just don't like Vince at all here, guys. I don't think there's much value. Plus 350. Raul Rosas Jr. minus 500. I will say I have Raul Rosas Jr. in a parlay, and I put it out a week ago. I got him at minus 375. So that's why you subscribe. That's why you get my bets days in advance to avoid that shitty line of minus 500, even though I do think he should still take it. Next up, Kelvin Gastelum, Joe Pyfer. Kelvin Gastelum moving back up to 185. Joe Pyfer, the up-and-comer, the guy who looks good. Yes, he lost to Hermanson. That's fine. I'll take it. That's one of those losses I want Joe Pyfer to take because that's how he's going to come back better. That's how he's going to learn. And that was a 5-round war. I'm okay with that. But now he's going to look better against an aging Kelvin Gastelum. The problem is Kelvin Gastelum's a brick wall. And I don't mean his physique. I definitely don't mean that, even though he looks significantly better than he has his whole career. But he's aging. He's undersized for the division. And he's facing potentially one of the most powerful guys in the division. How's that going to go? I don't like it. I don't like it. Even though he's durable, even though he's technically sound everywhere you go, I just think Joe Pyfer's younger. He's stronger. He's good all around. He could wrestle if he wants to. He could strike if he wants to. And like I said, Kelvin Gastelum's going to keep up. But I just think at his age, he's going to be a step behind everything. I think Joe Pyfer does have the power to, put out Kelvin Gastelum. I think it might be the first time we ever see him gone. So I'm thinking about that. But I see myself kind of reaching too much with these bets. So I got to be careful. A lot of these bets are reaching. Joe Pyfer by knockout plus 275. That's how used to we are for Kelvin Gastelum having such a good chin. So I think it's straightforward. I think Joe Pyfer does fight in the finish. I don't think he's bad by decision. He should be the better fighter all around, and I'm sticking with that. A lot of people are picking Kelvin. I get it, but I'll always take the young up-and-comer with a guy who's looked like Kelvin the last couple of years, even though he should look better now that he's coming up in weight, even though he's undersized. All right, Manuel Torres, Drew Dober. Guys, this fight has fight of the night written all over it, or performance of the night at least, because it should be short. Speaking of, Manuel Torres minus 110, Drew Dober minus 120. I mean, I love these odds. I think this is as accurate as should be. Dober was the dog a few days ago. Now it's basically a pick 'em. Guys, everybody's kind of siding with Drew Dober, I've seen. And I was kind of against that because I think Manuel Torres could get some momentum. He could be crisp. But here's my problem when I use the word crisp. What do I mean? Crisp, I mean technically sound. I mean tight. And I'm wrong by saying he's crisp. I think I just like how he strikes, but the guy's not crisp at all. I think that guy's going to go in there and he is going to go into a backyard brawl with Drew Dober. I really think that. His nickname is El Loco or something. Crazy for those who don't speak Spanish. You're kind of uncultured if you don't know what Loco is. So what the hell? You're going to go into a dogfight with Drew Dober, the experienced guy, powerful dude with one of the best chins ever seen? Like, who's putting this guy out? Jean Silva? And how'd that happen? Manuel Torres is in Silva. So when I look at these odds, when I look at this fight, number one, I say this doesn't go the distance, but I do think these guys are going to go into a Kimbo Slice fight. And I just think Manuel Torres is so freaking reckless. So if we don't see a huge leap in his IQ, I think Drew Dober is going to sleep him. I just think this is who catches who, but I trust the cement chin of Drew Dober, the guy who literally cannot be finished, against Manuel Torres, who we have seen have issues. I'm taking Drew Dober, guys. Straight up pick Drew Dober. I think I'll probably end up going money line. I hope he falls into the dog division again. Drew Dober by knockout plus 145. Torres by knockout plus 200. Fight to go the distance. No is minus 800. Hell, maybe go towards the distance. That'd be crazy if this fight goes the distance, but I don't think they're both as durable as they need to be. Over 1.5 rounds plus 150. Some potential there. Under is minus 195. Yeah, I think this is done in the first round, so I'm staying away from those round lines. I think I might just go Drew Dober. Prop is knockout, but haven't made a final decision. Kind of want to see what the line looks like, but I think Drew Dober is going to be the only dog that takes it as up to now in the main card. Last but not least, chances are the moment you were waiting for. Guys, if you would have asked me a year ago, if you would have asked me after the Pantoja fight and before the Albazi fight, so if you would have asked me after Erceg versus Pantoja and at the same time before Moreno versus Albazi, I tell you Steve Erceg wins this fight. And I say, you know what? He could handle the grappling. I like his striking. There's some power behind him. He just dealt with the champ. You know, he went 5 rounds, war. Debatably, some people thought he took it. I didn't, but an absolute war, a good matchup. He contended with a champion. But then he got slept by Kai Friends. And I'm like, okay, fraud check. But no, he went 5 rounds with Pantoja. And then I look at the Moreno side. Moreno has had his ups and downs. And then he fights Amir Albazi. I had Albazi winning that fight, like prior to it happening. And let me tell you something. I was so freaking impressed by Brandon Moreno. I truly believe that's the best version of Brandon Moreno we've ever seen. And usually for these smaller guys, seeing them better as they get older doesn't make a lot of sense. Usually it's the opposite. Usually you see that with heavyweights, light heavyweights, when they're gaining weight, when they're older, more power, dad strength, but not Brandon Moreno as long as he's been in the UFC. I have to say I think Brandon Moreno wins, and I think he wins if he pushes the pace, if he leaves Steve Erceg uncomfortable, because Steve Erceg likes to pick his shots. I think he's also somewhat of a sniper. And Brandon Moreno pushing forward on him is going to ruin him. Brandon Moreno switching stances, Brandon Moreno level changing, Brandon Moreno maybe mixing in some clinch and takedowns, just unorthodox stuff. Him just ferociously coming at him with his hands up. I think Steve Erceg is going to have a problem picking his shots. I think he's going to be so overwhelmed with the offense of Brandon Moreno that Steve Erceg's going to just fold. Brandon Moreno also has cardio for days. Steve Erceg cannot slow down. So I hope Steve Erceg's cardio is up to par, because going to fight Moreno and that elevation, you're looking for bad news. So I know Moreno doesn't have the best history in Mexico as far as his fights, but I will say I have him here. I'm fairly confident he's in a parlay of mine. Straightforward, he's the better fighter, and he has more of the dog in him. Maybe not today, and maybe not tomorrow, but one day I will be champion, and maybe we'll see him as champion again. Guys, I appreciate all the love. I know the love comes in waves. If we're successful with the bets, you guys love me. If I do bad and you lost money, you hate me, but I love it either way. Please subscribe, comment, like, share, do whatever you do. I appreciate the support always, guys. Have a good one. Let's make some money.